Hey guys, welcome back to the Self-Care Punk channel. Today we're talking books. I don't know about you guys. I used to not be a big reader. I mean, I kind of was. I read a ton of research at work. I'm basically a researcher by trade. But I never really spent time on my own reading books, which, granted, I do love Harry Potter, so I will tell you that. And briefly gave Twilight a try, but wasn't my jam. I kind of stuck to the movies. But the biggest thing that has changed a lot of my perspectives in life are the books that I've started reading. A lot of them are recommended to me by friends going through a similar journey at the time, as well as from therapists and people in the psychology space. I mean, this is quite a chunk of books. I have way more up stacked, and some have way more. Some halfway read, many of them completed. And what's been really cool is the ability now, I feel really compelled and excited to share with you in potentially a series, just like a book that I'm thinking about or have read that I think you might find interesting. So we'll start with the top one. So this one is, and this by the way is not a sponsored post. These are all books that I've actually just chosen and read and have touched me in really profound ways. So this one is Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. I don't know if you've seen her. Hopefully it's focusing. I assume it is. Don't quote me on most of this, but she got her start really with, I believe it was a TED Talk, or not her start, but like her fame. Like she went viral because of a really great TED Talk, which I'll link below in the caption. But this book was one of a handful that was recommended to me right after a really bad breakup, and I had relocated back to Los Angeles. And I pretty much was in a space where I felt like my life was falling apart on a variety of levels. Like, thankfully at the time, like friendship-wise and work was going really great. But in terms of family dynamics, personal and internal dynamics, romantic relationship dynamics, that was a big old shitstorm that was not really going well. And I had entered therapy to be like, you know what? I do not want to repeat this. Like, this is absolute bullshit. What's going on? Why do I keep attracting these dudes? Why do I keep attracting to these people in my life? Like, why can't I just shake this? Like, as much as I try to be a good person and do my thing and be left alone, like, I just like to be left alone half the time. What the hell, right? So this was one of a few books that she recommended to me. So Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. And in the book, it says how the courage to be vulnerable transforms the way you live, love, parent, and lead. And she has a variety of other books as well, and a lot of online content. And I'm not going to blab too much about it because I want you to be able to read it yourself. I actually got it on an audiobook, which was helpful at the time to get into reading because my commute at the time in LA was about an hour, 45 minutes each way, so I had a lot of downtime to be able to read. So if you have downtime at any point during your day, but usually it's driving and commuting and whatnot, or even just going for walks, it's a great way to download audiobooks and podcasts and things like that. So I highly recommend that. YouTube also is great because you can download the video when you're at home on Wi-Fi and then you can listen to it elsewhere. I believe that's with the premium subscription, but I figure everyone watches YouTube so much nowadays, like me, that I just pay for the monthly thing. So what I will leave you with is pretty simple. What touched me so much in this book, and it's been now 2.5, almost 3 years since I've read it, and I honestly think I'm going to reread it because it's now bringing back all these memories, is what stuck with me was, and this is not a direct quote, but all the best experiences in life come from being vulnerable. Right? Like, that's a pretty straight up statement, and that's kind of crazy. So it's like, that hit me really hard, and she goes into these really great narratives of, you know, let's say it's, for example, like something that you've been wanting to do, like start a YouTube channel, or someone that you have a crush on that you want to talk to, or someone that you see out and about that you just want to talk to, or a crazy outfit that you want to wear, whatever it could be. But it's obviously going to put yourself out there. It's going to put you in a vulnerable space. Half the time, our anxiety, which is part of what I've been battling with over the past few years, is getting that into a managed state, which I think is there, which is amazing, is you get all up in your head and you think of the million reasons that could go wrong in your favor and all of the emotions that go along with being vulnerable and it not going your way. And so it's obviously pretty compounded in the fact that you're not only thinking in the future of a variety of scenarios that are not true, but you're also, you know, you're talking yourself down. You are also highlighting areas of like fears of rejection. fears of obviously being vulnerable and things like that. So for me, the idea of vulnerability was profound because I feel like I'm fairly vulnerable with my close group, but that's a really close, small group of friends. I am all about quality over quantity. I have a lot of really awesome acquaintances and just people that I know. I'm a people person. I love, and it's easy for me to connect with people, but to be vulnerable is different. There's a lot of people that I love or think are amazing that are very surface level, because what I eventually learned is it's obviously a two-way street, but the more I became vulnerable with people and in experiences in my life, I started to see the proof in what she speaks to is that things become quite amazing the more that you are vulnerable, and you start meeting people that are really on your level and that you connect with authentically and on a much deeper level. And it is so much more of a fulfilling experience. And what's awesome about it is things that also, so to get back to the main point is, what I love about the idea is instead of thinking about all the things that could go wrong with asking that cute person out, or that person that you think is really interesting, or perhaps it's a speaker that you want to talk to at a conference and just come up and say how much their work means to you, but you're super nervous and you're thinking about all the negative things. What if it goes really well? What if they say yes? What if they engage you positively? What if something amazing comes out of that experience of being vulnerable? And that is what slapped me across the face. I was like, holy shit, that's like my head basically exploded, and my mind started like unraveling all these, like, it was essentially a perspective shift, and I felt it like changing in my brain, at least conceptually. And I'm the type of person, maybe it's a lot of the fire I've got inside me, but it's like, I'm feisty, obviously. And I was like, I want to live an epic life, like I always have. What the hell is holding me back? And it dawned on me that half the time it's myself. I mean, that's some deep stuff, right? Like, that takes a minute. You got to sit with that for a minute, which is also important. When things like that come up, just sit with it. See how it feels. Half the time, we're not dealing with shit because we're not letting ourselves deal with it. We're not feeling with it. We're moving on. We're putting it in the back burner. We're moving it elsewhere, like whatever we're doing. We're avoiding it, and we're filling it with other things and activities and drinking and all that stuff. So what I committed to do to myself, at least, was at least starting to practice this and starting to think in my head, like, okay, so like it highlighted for me a fear of rejection, a fear of putting myself out there, despite me being, really outgoing and all that. And I think a good communicator. It's like when it comes to myself, work is different. Work is really structured. Like, I've always been really good at school and work and things like that because to me it's a controlled environment. My struggle has been life because it's so organic and messy, and I didn't think there was any, I mean, there are no rules, but it's basically just like, there are tips and tricks that you can learn from these great books that kind of teach you how to navigate all of the things that we're preventing ourselves from doing. And what I found to be amazing is the more that I put myself out there, it kind of, you build up a tolerance. Like, I think in psychology, and I'm not a psychologist, so don't quote me, but it's behavioral tolerance, where the more you do something, like the less scary it becomes and you get used to it. You're kind of desensitized to it. So like the more that you put yourself out there, the less anxiety you're gonna have, or the less it's gonna be easier, right? So I committed to myself, like, all right, I'm gonna, like one of the big ones in the other videos that I talked about is I love to go dancing, and I was like, I don't know anyone in downtown, or if I do, and they don't want to go out that night, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna not do what I want to do tonight. So I took this crazy leap of faith and just started going out clubbing alone, which you got to be used to it on your own because it's an environment that, you got to be professional like me, right? But just by doing that, it unlocked a whole door of being able to do whatever I want to do and filling myself with joy, regardless of what other people's schedules are like or what they're doing. Basically, it's like by being vulnerable, it opened me up to not limiting myself. It opened me up to new experiences. Like today, I just did a sweat yoga session for the first time ever. It was super intense, but really awesome. And I'm so glad I did it. Like, it just is these little moments of vulnerability where it really is the space where you grow. Like, truly all of the best experiences in life come from being vulnerable. And that comes from, being vulnerable with your family, your friends, in the workplace especially. Like workplace conflicts are so reduced when you are able to be vulnerable and you communicate that you have a need that's not being fulfilled or that you feel a certain way because of something versus like you didn't do this or it's not my fault or this or blah blah blah, like blame game. um, this book really was the catalyst that honestly, like this book, after I read this, I was like, I'm addicted. And it was so profound to me, and I wanted to gift it to everyone I knew. Like, I was literally giving books to friends. And then I started going down the list. This is out of order, but like, I mean, from what I read, we're going to talk about attached in another video, another one that should be required in primary education. The world would be a better place if everyone read this book, this book, this book, this. I mean, like, seriously, like, this shit is like the game of life. And it truly has made me a better person. And so my challenge to you is find something that you think is interesting in the space that you're having an issue with potentially. And if you're aware of that and you know that you're having an issue, let's say, or a blocker, take the leap of faith and download the audiobook and make a small goal for yourself. I'm going to listen to 15 minutes. You'd be surprised. Like right now, I don't know, I'm trying to keep videos under 15 minutes. But as you can see, I like to talk. And I ad-lib, so like things just come out of my head and that's how I want to do it. I don't really do well with scripting. Commit to 15 minutes. 15 minutes flies by, and if it's an audiobook, great. Or if it's even less, do 5 minutes. You'll be surprised. You'll meet that goal. It's easy. And then you'll oftentimes want to keep listening. Like I'm like a milestone type reader. I'm like, well, let me at least finish this chapter. Or like, holy crap, the chapter is like 50 pages long. Let me find a place where it's like a clean break. And I'm like, okay, this is a good spot. And then that's how I've started reading. Or what's cool is I'll just be like, you know what, I'm going to read 10 pages and call it a day. Like, that's at least a little bit of progress. And that has helped me with a lot of my reading. And I swear to God, like, combined with YouTube and books, like, I now have an addiction to wellness and sharing what I've learned. And I hope that you also join the journey of starting to unpack things like vulnerability because, you know, another subject that she covers a lot in this book, and I'm pretty sure it's this book, is shame. The idea of like when people are vulnerable, like people are not vulnerable because they have been shamed before oftentimes. And then that's like the worst, most lowest feeling, I think, on the human emotion scale. And you obviously, you know, stop being vulnerable because you're like, it feels terrible. And so I think it's once you read this book, you're also going to get into a position where the last thing you want to do to people is shame them when they are being vulnerable with you. So it teaches you a lot of really cool things. And so it also has good content for parenting. I'm not a parent, unsure about that, still at 33. But I found it super, super relevant. A lot of my friends have children, and who knows if I am, like, let's say, have one in the future. It's just profound. And I think that it touches all areas of your life. Like, I noticed it bleeding into literally all areas of my life. So, couple challenges for everyone. One, download the audiobook. Again, this is not sponsored. This is literally an awesome book. The woman is like a gift to the world and the work that she's doing and spreading. So download the book, Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. It's an audiobook or you can buy it. I love physical books because I like to underline. Like I'm an underliner and I like to reread things a million times. And commit to a goal, like how much of it you're going to read every day or every week or whatever. Daily is a little bit easier for me. Because if I say a couple times a week, like that schedule goes out the window. But do what works for you, and then maybe commit to like a time frame. Like for me, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at a post-it on the cupboard. I'm like, okay, I want to try and read one book a month. That used to sound really aggressive to me back in the day, which is true. So what I would, let's say for you guys, if you're not a reader, scale it back to something really easy and accomplishable. So like 5 minutes a day, 10, 15 minutes, 30 can get long and you get kind of bored, but you don't have to stop at the 10 minutes. You can keep going. This book will really kickstart, I hope, and I think it will plant a seed in your head that is going to grow very fruitfully for you because it's just such a profound book. And it's honestly, this is a blanket statement, but it's very simple. The idea is simple, but to live it is like, there's a lot behind it, right? There's a reason why people are not vulnerable. And once you see the fruits of your actions and how much your life shifts towards the positive, you are never going to go back and you're going to become an advocate for this type of literature because it truly changes your life. And so I want to thank Brene Brown for her work and for putting it out there and for speaking on it and teaching people basically how to live an awesome life, which is exactly what this entire channel is about. So if I can help you by reading one book, that's great. The next video we're gonna watch, I need to write a note down. We're gonna read about Attached. This one's amazing. Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. This book changed my relationship dynamics forever, and it's probably the most useful book I've ever read. Yeah, there's a lot that are useful, but that one's like legit. I've made my mom read it. Asked friends to read it. Hopefully people I date will have read it. I now ask about their attachment styles or know how to pick up on it because of this book, and you know your own. So basically all of this, what I'm trying to say is it's about getting to know you, because you cannot get to know other people, whatever you're watching this channel for, whether it's to figure out how to be awesome on your own, how to improve your relationship dynamics, how to learn just tips and tricks to navigate life, which is all about, that's what I want to do for you guys. Start with reading a book. Start with pouring into the self-help section is not for losers. It's fucking awesome and has the best kind of stuff in there. So I'm super excited for you guys. Drop a link, or I'm going to put all the links in the caption in the description box. And be sure to like this video if you vibe with it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button, because we're building a community here. And put down in the comments if you have a book in mind that you'd love to recommend that has impacted your life. And also comment if you started reading and then if you downloaded it. The comment section is all about inspiring each other. It's all about love. So be sure to do that to your fellow YouTubers. So much love, rock on, and I'll catch you guys later for the next video. Peace.